guys, buckle up for another episode of Below the Iceberg, the one and only podcast where we talk to real-life 2 Comma Club winners. Whether you're a small business owner, an entrepreneur, a wannabe entrepreneur, or you've been in business for a while, you're sure to pick up tidbits of actionable advice from these million-dollar entrepreneurs. Now, if you're new around here and you don't know what a 2 Comma Club winner is, it's where they've built one funnel inside the ClickFunnels software and sold $1 million through just that one funnel, which is absolutely fantastic. Now, in today's episode, I'm really excited to be talking to Oliver, whose motto is happy mushrooms for sad people. I just love it. He has seen exponential growth for his business in the last 18 months, and he's achieved it basically by selling bags of horse manure, which sounds absolutely crazy. So let's dive in and find out how it all started for Oliver and how he plans to hit the 10 million by this time next year. Okay, welcome Oliver to Below the Iceberg.
Yes, thank you, Polly. I'm happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Awesome. Congratulations on your 2 Comma Club.
Yeah, that was exciting.
I can see it on your wall, pride of place.
Yeah.
What I like to do with my guests is I like to go check out their social media profiles. Because this shows our listeners exactly what's achievable with people who have small followings and large followings. So let's check out your stats. So I looked you up on Facebook. And your Facebook page has got 69,538 followers, which is awesome. Instagram, 2,247. TikTok, 187. Have you just started that one?
Yeah. We're just actually moving into, mostly we've been on Facebook, but we're starting to move into the other one.
TikTok, yeah. And YouTube, you got 27.7 thousand followers, which is awesome. So do you want to tell our listeners exactly what it is that you do?
Yeah, sure. So at Curative Mushrooms, we help sad people improve their mental health by growing happy mushrooms at home using an all-in-one simple growing system that doesn't require any complicated instructions or expensive equipment. That basically means even if you've never grown anything before in your life, you can have your own happy mushrooms at home with next 30 days with real simple system. It's just a grow kit, basically.
Awesome. That sounds so good. Happy mushrooms for sad people. I love it.
Yeah.
So you sell they get the kit. You sell the kit. Is that what you do? Yeah.
Yeah, I can show it to you if you want to see what it looks like.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
We got give me 1 second. Like, this is the main stuff you would get, but these these grow bags.
All right, okay.
Something like this.
They look like a bag of sugar.
Yeah, it just looks like this. And then you'll get some spore syringes, and then you just inject them into the bags. And then these bags will do everything for you. They'll grow the mushrooms in the bag. You don't need anything else. This is really the whole kit, essentially. Wow. That's all you need.
So you've done a 2 Comma Club award selling mushroom kits. Is that right?
Yeah, essentially.
That
and the funny thing,
amazing.
The funny thing was our first grow bags were all horse manure. So we used to joke because it was like, so wait a minute, you made $1 million selling shit? Like, you put shit in a bag and then and you sold that and people bought it? Like, but it was kind of funny.
So what was your funnel that you used to do this? How did it work?
Yeah, it was just a simple opt-in, like just, giving them something for free to get their email. And then after that, they would just literally land on our sales page for a low, for the grow kit.
All right. Okay. So what did you give them for free?
I think we used to give them like the top 10 mushrooms that people would want for the 10 most popular mushrooms and stuff like that for medicinal purposes. And But lately we've found that just sending people straight to the grow kit
Yeah.
converts better than anything else. And so that's
All
what we
right.
do right now. Yeah.
So better than sending them to the free download and then upselling the kit, going straight in for the sales.
Yeah, because I think in this market, you know, every market's a little different, but in this market, people just want the grow kit.
Right.
Like you can't get it anywhere else.
Can you
Like we're
not?
the only company where you can really get everything. And so they don't need a lot of persuasion, just they want it.
All
And
right.
so
Okay.
send them straight to it.
So when did you hit the 2 Comma Club? When did you realize you did $1 million in sales?
I think let's see, back when did I start? 2020. I think it was the end of 2020 in December when I finally just launched the idea.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know what I was gonna do, and people kept hitting me up for they wanted the easiest possible way to grow mushrooms at home for a certain type of mushroom.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, let me figure this out. So I did some research and, you know, kind of hid myself away for like a few weeks and just kind of focused on building something out. Then I launched it, ran a simple Facebook ad to the idea. I didn't know how well it was going to do. And then it just started converting profitably, like right out the gate. And I was like, wow, I'm onto something. And then from 2020 till the end of 2021, we made $1 million in 1 year. So
Awesome.
it was about a year to get there. And now
were you going for the 2 Comma Club?
Oh yeah, that was always the goal. I didn't know if I was going to do that in the mushroom niche. That was kind of, I didn't expect that. When I first got into the mushroom niche, it was just affiliate stuff. I was just a blogger, just doing affiliate sales, and then I made my own product, and then I kind of turned into the mushroom man after that. And and there's so much more money when you make your own product, right?
Definitely, yeah. So when you realized you hit the 2 Comma Club, what did you do? Did you have a celebration, a little party, or what happened?
For the 2 Comma Club, yeah, I think I went out and celebrated, just had a nice dinner, and just kind of was like, at that point, it'd been so long, you know, because honestly, the biggest celebration for me was like when I first made my first sale. I was
All
like
right,
jumping
okay.
up and down. I
And
was like, this is so cool.
how much does the mushroom kit sell for then?
Um, right now it's about to go up
All
the
right,
price,
okay.
but right now I think it's like 166
All right, okay. And
for everything.
is there any upsells after they buy it, or is that it?
Yeah, they get hit with some upsells. They get our they can get our video grow course. That sells right now for 197. And then after that, they can get our insiders access community, our mentoring community. That's a monthly subscription. So they can get access to that as well. And a lot of people take that stuff.
Oh, do they? And where are the people who buy this? Is it all over the world, or is it mainly in the US?
It's all over the world, yeah. It started when I originally launched it, I just let anyone buy it. But that's kind of hard with physical products, because I realized when you're shipping to other countries,
Yeah,
that's very hard. Like it goes through customs, and then some places don't want it. They destroy the bags.
oh, do they?
And so right now we do it mostly in the United States. But if someone really wants it overseas, we can do it.
All right, okay. I see. So when you were running the ads, who were you targeting? Who do you target for mushrooms?
Oh yeah. Mostly let's see. It started out mostly with just people who were depressed. And that's still, I think, the biggest market.
All right.
Is depressed people, because the studies are overwhelming at Johns Hopkins and all kinds of places that these things literally help people to literally overcome depression with a single dose. And there's countless people doing it every day. Yeah, it blew my mind, right? At first I was like, doesn't even sound possible, like one dose. But I can tell you from personal experience, it really does. It does actually work in one dose. It's insane.
So I have to ask this: are they magic mushrooms then? Like when
Yeah,
I was younger, it was all about the magic mushrooms.
yeah.
So
So
are they magic?
let me just say it like this. So I'll just say I'll put out a legal disclaimer. You know, psilocybin remains illegal by the federal government. We don't endorse or encourage anyone to break federal law. But I mean, what people do with the kits is completely up to them, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of a loophole. Like really what I found was a loophole in the federal government system. And that's what makes this so successful, I think.
Okay.
Because you can legally get a magic mushroom spore syringe delivered to your house right now for the purpose of studying it under a microscope.
All right.
And that's
okay.
a real thing. Believe it or not, people actually study spores under a microscope, mostly for foraging reasons to identify mushrooms.
Yeah.
So it's a real thing, but because the spores don't contain anything illegal. It's not until you actually inject the spores into like a grow bag
All right.
and they start to grow that they contain psilocybin, which is the federally banned substance, which is also becoming legal in many states right now, following marijuana. In the next few years, it'll probably be just like marijuana in most cases.
All right.
But, right now, yeah. So you can legally get it. So the way it's set up is they get the grow bags,
Yeah.
right? Now you can grow other mushrooms. Like there's like 6 varieties that are gourmet. You can grow oyster, lion's mane, turkey tail, reishi, shiitake. So there's a lot of other medicinal mushrooms that are 100% legal. And you can get those with these kits too. But the most popular syringe people order is for mycology use. And we have a mycology kit. So if they get a spore syringe for that, right, it comes in a mycology kit to their house so they can study it under a microscope.
Right.
And again, if they inject that into a grow bag, that's none of my business. But if they did, it would grow very potent, very large magic mushrooms that were illegal.
Wow. Okay. So then let's do a little bit of a rewind now. I'm going to take you back to your childhood.
Okay.
So what did your childhood look like?
Yeah, just a country boy growing up in Northern California in the foothills, like in a cow town, a lot of cowboys.
All right.
Where I grew up. And just kind of boring. I remember wanting to get out of there. Couldn't wait to turn 18 just to leave.
What did you have a dream of what you wanted to be when you grew up?
I knew the only thing I knew is I didn't like anything people were telling me. Like in school, they're like, "Oh, these are all the jobs you can do," and I was like, "What if I don't want any of those jobs? Like, it just sounds horrible. I don't want to be an employee." But everyone's telling me you got to work hard, you got to do this, and then someday, hopefully, you can retire and have all this. And then I was like, that doesn't sound good at all. I was like, all that sounds horrible, and so I didn't know. So I was like, I'm just gonna leave. I joined the Navy.
All right. Okay.
At 18, and I'm just gonna go do something else. So I traveled, seen the world. And it wasn't until I was like 30 years old, 28 actually, when I got introduced into network marketing.
All right. Okay. So how long did you stay in the Navy for?
I did 20 years.
Oh, retired. Did
you? Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So you left. So you left, and where did you come back to? Where did you go?
You mean when I left home?
When you left the Navy?
Oh, when I left the Navy. So yeah, when I retired in Virginia Beach. That was my last duty station. And so I traveled. I mean, I lived all over the world.
All right.
But that was my last duty station. I'm still here right now, but the plan is to get out of here eventually and move to probably more like the mountains or something.
All right. Okay. So how did you get introduced to network marketing?
Yeah, so there was this guy. I was on shift work when I was in Hawaii, and we were working 12-hour shifts in the Navy at the time, and this guy asked me what I thought about this network marketing thing he was getting into. And I watched the sales video, and they're talking about how you can make all this money, and I was like, that sounds too good to be true. Like people, like everything I've been taught in my life says that that's not true. you can't do that. If it sounds like that, it's too good to be true, and it's some type of a scam.
Yeah.
And so I just like, I wouldn't do it. But he went and did it. And then a year or two later, he contacts me up, and he's like senior vice president level in this company. And I was like, wait a minute. And he got out of the Navy. He's making all this money. I was like, so wait a minute, you mean it actually works? And that was like the belief shift in my mind from the way I was brought up, thinking I had to be an employee and work my whole life for something, to this guy's making tons of money and he's not an employee. And I was like, so that's when I shifted into that and started my journey.
All right.
Long journey. I think it was like a 10-year journey or 8-year journey into where I was going. I didn't know where it was going, but that was kind of.
Did you join his network marketing thing?
Yeah.
And what was that?
It was a company called 5 Links at the time. It was some type of informational technology company that had like different stuff. And
all right.
And that didn't last long because they were like, you got to call your friends and family, and everything was like in person. Like there was nothing online. And I was like, you guys realize there's this thing called the internet, right? Like there's got to be a way to do this online. I don't understand why I got to go out. They're like telling me go to the mall and hand out flyers to people. And I was like, that ain't going to happen. Like, I'm not doing that. Like, there's got to be a better way. And then I remember Googling it. So, because they didn't want to tell me there was a better way. So I Googled it. And I remember finding the first person I ever found was like Mike Dillard, Magnetic sponsoring. And I got into Mike Dillard's stuff and I bought his stuff. And then that was my first introductory into internet online marketing.
All right.
That wasn't offline. And then that's when the whole world opened up to me. And again, this was like an 8-year journey for me because that was like my starting point.
All right.
Like,
okay. And when was that? What year was that then, do you think?
Let's see, we're in 22. So I was 28. I'm 30. So that was like almost 10 years ago. So
all
maybe
right,
like 2011, 2012, around there.
So what did this Mike Dillard, did you say?
Yeah, Mike Dillard.
What was he getting you to do? What was his thing?
His thing was like, you can post an ad online using Google Ads, and you can actually drive people to this thing called like an opt-in page. And you get them to this opt-in page and you give them something free. They give you their email and now you've got a lead. And I'm like, oh, wow, that's perfect. So I tried to do that. And the first thing I did, I set up a Google Ads account and it got shut down permanently. Like I was like banned from Google because I did what this guy told me to do. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like it was so stressful. And I tried calling Google. I was like, look, I didn't know what I was. They labeled me as a get rich quick scheme.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
And I called them. I was like, look, I didn't know I can change things. They're like, sorry, you've been banned for life. And they hung up on me.
What?
I was like, what in the world? Like, this is crazy. And so that was my first experience with that stuff.
So
I'll tell you.
What did you do next? What did you do next?
So yeah, that was the start. And then it kind of just evolved. I went into other network marketing companies, found out I just didn't like network marketing. It wasn't my thing. And then from there, it just kind of like I went through like, I think a learning phase. Like I read all the Gary Halbert letters. I wrote them all out by hand. And I think what really helped me the most is when I got introduced to Russell Brunson.
Okay.
And
how did you find him?
How did I find Russell originally? I think I don't remember actually how I originally got introduced to him, but I remember when I went through his course, one of his courses for the first time, and the way he explained it, right, was just so simple. It was just like, oh, I get it. It's like everyone else was explaining it so complicated, and I'm like scratching my head. I'm like, okay, I have to reread the sentence like 6 times. I'm like, okay, I think I know what they're talking about. But Russell was just like, bam. It was just like, oh my God, it's so simple to understand. And it's like, Russell was like the missing piece for me that just kind of put everything together, just following what he taught, and so I love Russell. I've literally bought every single course he's ever made,
Really?
and I'll continue to buy everything he's ever
So,
made.
so
He doesn't even have to sell me on it. Just let me know what you're selling and I just buy it. Like I
what,
don't
how were you making money while you were learning all this going along the way? How were you living?
Oh, I was like $200,000 in debt, in credit card debt, because I literally bought everything on the planet trying to figure this out. And my wife, I'm getting yelled at like daily about quit. I'm spending money and I'm making no money. Like, you're just like, what are you doing? Like, this is a hobby or what? You've been doing this for like 7 years. You got to make money. Like, this is ridiculous. Like, you can't just keep spending money. And I'm like, don't worry, don't worry. I'm going to make money soon. Don't worry.
I think so many people can identify with that.
Like, trust me. It's like, I've already got it planned out in my mind. It's going to work. Don't worry. But no one really believes you. And I think that's probably one of the biggest challenges anyone would face doing that is it's lonely. Like, all the people you associate with, they don't understand what you're doing. They're like, at least for me, it was all employees. So I can't talk to them about what I'm doing. If I do, it's like embarrassing because they're like, oh yeah, well, good luck to you. I hope that works out. Yeah, that sounds really cool. What's your backup plan? Like if that doesn't work, like what would you do? And that was like, it make me mad when I hear it. I'm like, I got to the point where I just wouldn't tell anybody what I'm doing because it would just irritate me. I don't want to hear all that stuff, and so you just kind of went into like this lonely place for a long time where like everyone thinks you're crazy. You're some dreamer dude that just spends a lot of money and doesn't make money. So it was hard. Like, that was probably the hardest part of this
Yeah.
whole thing.
So how did you come up with mushrooms?
So I remember I'd been through so many businesses up to that point. I kind of was hopping around. I think one of my biggest problems was I wasn't sticking to one thing. Like I would do this for like 5 months and I'd be like, ooh, and I'd see something like some other shiny object. I'm like, oh wow, I gotta learn that. I'll just put this on hold. Let me go learn this. And then I'd get into that for like 5 months. I'm like, oh, look at this. And I was like bouncing around and I'd been through so many companies and so many different things. And then finally I was getting close to retirement from the Navy. Like, look, I can't play around anymore. Like, if I keep playing around, I am going to have to get another job when I retire. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pick something and I'm going to stick to it until I make money because I got to at least make some money so I don't have to get a job.
Yeah.
And I had like a year, I think, before I was going to retire. Like, I got a year. I can do this. And so my plan, honestly, was just, I knew nothing about mushrooms. Like, I knew what a button mushroom was because my dad would buy those at the store when I was a kid and we'd eat them in salads and stuff, those white button mushrooms. But
Yeah.
I didn't know anything else about mushrooms. And so it's kind of funny. I just got into it. And for the first 6 months, I was just blogging and building my list. Because I knew at one thing, I knew the list was the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
So my whole company
How did you get into it? It's a really bit of a random thing to get into.
Yeah, that is that is interesting. So I knew this guy and he was talking to me about blogging and he said he gave me the idea for the mushroom niche. He was just like, hey, the mushroom niche, very low competition, high passion, and it's trending up at the time. And at the time, no one had even mushrooms wasn't like it is now where it's becoming popular and it's on TV a lot and the Netflix all over the place. But at the time it wasn't talked about anywhere, but it was trending up in Google Trends.
Yeah.
And so he's like, if you want to start a blog, you might want to try the mushroom niche. And so that's when I just I went in and did that. And it was literally just a blog and to make money selling affiliate products initially.
Oh, right. Okay. What, mushroom products?
Mm-hmm.
So how did you know what to talk about in your blog on mushrooms?
Yeah. So one of the things I got into heavily is SEO, search engine optimization,
All right, okay.
at a point in my life, and I mean years of it. So I knew about a lot of these things going into this blog, and so honestly, I would just, if you look at, there's this tool called SEMrush
All right,
that
yeah.
I used to use daily. I got a team now that does all my writing for me. I don't do it anymore, but I would use this tool called SEMrush, and in the tool, it'll show you the keyword volume. And if you just look at the keywords and just search mushroom, and the first volume is like 15,000 searches a month. But if you go all the way down to the bottom, they get to what's called long tail keywords.
Yeah.
Where they're really long. And around the 300 volume a month, you'll see people's questions about mushrooms. And so I would just pick one of those, anywhere between like 100 volume to 300 volume a month. And I would write an article about that topic. And I would make sure I wrote the best article about it. And that was kind of how I did that.
Awesome. Okay, so you were doing that for affiliate, doing the blog. So how long did you do it like that with just blog articles and affiliate products? Were you making any money from that?
Not initially. It took, because you have to get a good amount of articles first, right? You can't just write. So I had to get to a point where I had like 50 articles. And once you have 50 articles on your blog, then you can start making money. So the idea was 50 articles, 50 videos on YouTube, and my Facebook profile was built out. And so all these things working together.
Yeah.
Then once I had all that, then I could start putting affiliate links and scattering them out my articles. Like, hey, if you're talking about this, here's a link to, you could just use, honestly, you could just do Amazon affiliate links and send people to the Amazon products. And that's what I was doing. I was making a lot of money just doing other people's products.
All right.
I was making, I think, just a few $1,000s a month at the time, just doing other people's products before I made my own.
So how did you come up? What made you create your own? Was there something that happened that you thought, right, I'm going to make my own now?
The goal was always to create my own product once I figured out what that was. So I think, Russell, a lot of people, they talk about market research. So for me, the first 6 months was kind of like just market research. And I was building my list while I was doing my market research, but my list was telling me what they wanted.
All right.
And you can survey them and all these things, but they were overwhelmingly telling me, hey, we want this. And so that's when I was like, okay. So I just basically gave them what they wanted. And I think that's key in any business you get into. Like I get people hitting me up all the time, like, oh, I got this cool product idea. I'm like, that's awesome. I was like, why don't you start with the market first? Go find the market that you want to sell to, find out what they want, and then make a product for them. And it's so much easier that way, because you don't got then finding a product and then trying to find a market for that product is really hard, right?
So how did you, so you came up with the idea, you were gonna, from what the audience was telling you, how did you physically, because you said it was horse manure, how did you come up with what you were actually going to send them? The physical product. How did you make that? What did you do?
So originally I didn't want to do physical products. Like I just wanted info products, but what they wanted was a physical product. So I was like, okay, because normally everything I'd been doing was like expert secrets. Like,
yeah, I
wanted to be the expert. I didn't want to do e-com, but I ended up doing both. And they work out really complementing each other really well. But so I knew I needed two things. I knew I needed a spore syringe and I needed a grow bag, and then the rest of the products I could make. So I made a book. I actually wrote a book. I spent 3 weeks writing a book. I'll show it to you. So I wrote this book, and I sell like 30 copies of this book a day right now.
Awesome. That's
sells
good.
For like $46. But that book I wrote in a few weeks, and then I made a bunch of info products and stuff like that to go with. But the two things I had to get that I didn't have was grow bags and syringes. So all I did was I went on Etsy, found people that were selling grow bags, interviewed a couple people, And I was like, hey, do you want to make some money, like drop shipping for me? And they're like, yeah, that'd be great. They're like, you know, they're just doing this as a hobby. And so I did that with the grow bags. And then I went to another place on Reddit to find the sports ranges, interviewed people for that position. And then once I had those two people in place, then all I did was just drop ship. So as the orders came in, I just sent them over to them to fulfill them.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. But now we have our own warehouse. We actually produce our own, probably the best grow bags anywhere that you can get on the market. And we actually produce those ourselves now, but not initially. Initially, it was just like, get this going the cheapest way possible, right?
Yeah. So when did you launch the first product? When the first order came through, when was that?
That would have been I think October of 2020 was when I had everything in place. I created my sales letter. I had the grow bag people in place. It took me like a month to get like the entire funnel, the entire product, the entire bundle, the offer, everything set up. And then I ran the first Facebook ad after that to
Did you do all of that yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I built it all myself.
Is it the same funnel now than the initial launch one? Is it the same funnel that
Yeah, believe it or not, it's still the same funnel. It's kind of funny because I don't have a beard in that video, and I was still in the Navy. I was actually stationed in Bahrain when I made that video.
Oh, right, okay.
It still converts like crazy. Like that sales video just converts insane.
Did you follow any of Russell's scripts for your video for that?
Yeah, I'll tell you again, like I said, I've bought everything Russell's done. But to me, the one thing that I've learned from Russell that I use almost every single day, and I use in that sales video, and I use it in every sales video I ever make, is his epiphany bridge script.
All right.
And I use it in everything. Like everything's an epiphany bridge script. And it works so well. It's the one tool that kind of simplified the entire sales process for me. Like the perfect webinar and all these other things. Those are great. They're awesome. They work. But for me, it's about simplicity. Like what's the simplest, once you dumb it down to the simplest level and you finally get it in a simple way, you can just do it all the time. And it's not, you don't even have to think about it almost. And so for me, that was his epiphany bridge script. And then his idea of inception, he did this master class or whatever it was on inception. And that was probably the single best course I've ever gotten from Russell, was his inception class.
All right. Okay. Where did you do that? I've not heard of that, I don't think.
Yeah, it's very rare. I don't even know where you would get it now. But it was, I don't remember how I got it. I got it through some bundle that he had at the time. It was like a bonus, I think. But if you've seen the movie Inception, it's he based the course off of that movie.
All right.
Inception. And the whole idea was, have you seen Inception?
No.
So Inception was with Leonardo DiCaprio, and they would basically, someone would go asleep and they would go inside their brain into their dreams while they're dreaming. And the person thinks it's part of the dream, but there's actually really people in there manipulating his dream. And when he wakes up, he has this idea from the dream and he thinks it was his idea.
Right. Okay.
And so that was something that Russell taught. And he said, whenever you want to sell someone on something, you want them to have the idea that it was their idea.
Right. Okay.
And the way you do that is through storytelling. You tell them a story to the point where you hit the wall, and then they have the epiphany. It's in there's an epiphany in his Heroes 2 Journeys.
Yeah.
Epiphany bridge script. They call it the epiphany bridge. The epiphany is the moment when they have the idea, and it's basically inception. You made them have that idea, but they think it's their idea. And once you can, if you get that, and sales just becomes different after that. It's totally different.
So how did you come up with happy mushrooms for sad people?
that's a so when you get into the niche I'm in, you run into a lot of compliancy problems, especially with Facebook ads.
Yeah.
Like you got to be very careful what you call things. I can't use the word magic mushroom.
Yeah.
And you can't use psilocybin, you can't use psychedelics, you can't use a lot of these words. So we kind of came up with like, well, what can we say? And we started calling them happy mushrooms for sad people. And for some reason that I've split tested that against a million other things, and happy mushrooms for sad people just converts higher than anything I've ever done.
It sounds awesome. I love that. I love that name. Do you think because of lockdown, there was a lot of sad people? Do you think that made people identify with the kit more?
I do. I think it was perfect timing. I think that after COVID is when the mushroom niche took off, because people became more depressed because they were isolated from socializing with people, and that makes you depressed. And I think that was a huge impact on the incline in the mushroom niche right now.
So when somebody's bought one kit, do they come back for more?
Yes. Yeah. Most people, they microdose. If you know, if you never heard of microdosing, basically that's you take a small amount. And Paul Stamets, and it's been all over Netflix recently, but the main thing is like coders in Silicon Valley and stuff like that. They found that when they microdose, they get an edge on their competition. Like your brain creates new neurological pathways that didn't exist before. So you're literally, you actually are smarter, and you're at a disadvantage if you're not microdosing, because if someone is microdosing and you're not, they have an edge that you don't. They're able to process things more effectively in different ways than you are. And so it became to the point where microdosing is a really powerful tool, not just for depression and all these PTSD, which they're very powerful for that, but also as an entrepreneur and someone who just wants to be, it's a nootropic basically.
Right.
So whatever the case may be, whatever you're using it for, you're going to want to microdose. And microdosing means you're going to take it forever. Like you take a little bit every day. And so that's why people will get our grow bags. They'll grow some and then they'll buy more. And they'll just keep growing them. So they always have a supply and stuff like that.
So do you have like a subscription then for them?
We don't have like a physical product subscription. That is something that my team has been wanting to implement for a while now. We do monthly like promotions for different spore syringes. So like if there's some really cool variety that you can't get, we'll promote that spore syringe, and then we'll have a bunch of people buy it, and because they like variety and the different types of mushrooms they can get. But no subscription right now.
No.
For the
all right. Okay. So do you use any other ad platforms to find your audience, or is it just Facebook?
We use primarily right now, we're on Facebook and Google. We're on TikTok for a while, but the issue was TikTok, their compliance is so strict. They won't even let us use the word mushroom in our ads. Like we were using the word fungi and they still were shutting us down. And so we paused TikTok. Primarily, we're on Facebook and Google. We're going to be on YouTube soon. And then in the future, we're looking at Apple's about to launch an ad platform within the next year. We'll be on Apple when that comes out. And then Twitter, once Elon revamps Twitter within a couple of years, we'll definitely be on Twitter.
All right.
Primarily right now it's Facebook and Google. But now subscription products, speaking of that, you mentioned a second ago, we're about to launch coffee. We're and there's like these sticks of coffee, mushroom coffee.
Mushroom coffee?
Yeah. It's really good. And once we launch that, that'll be a subscription product.
I've never ever heard of mushroom coffee. Is it a thing, or is it a new thing?
It's kind of a new thing, but it's so good. And it's not like for the magic mushroom. It's for it'll contain 6 other types of mushrooms, like reishi, which is the most studied mushroom in the world. It was started in China. You couldn't even own reishi unless you were like royalty. Like you'd be killed because it literally grew in the emperor's palace only.
All right.
Reishi has been known for, it's got so many health benefits, anti-aging. They call it nature's Xanax, liquid yoga. So reishi is this amazing mushroom. But then you've got turkey tail. Paul Stamets' mother was stage 4 breast cancer. They gave her 3 months to live. He started giving her turkey tail extract in combination with her treatment for cancer. She's cancer-free and been cancer-free for like 20 years now. So turkey tail has been shown to have amazing cancer fighting benefits.
Wow.
Then you've got several others. Cordyceps, which is for libido and it's for increasing your athletic performance. It actually helps your body process oxygen better. So all of these are combined into this mushroom coffee and it tastes amazing. You just dump it in some hot water, you mix it. But yeah, there's a ton of health benefits you can get just every day, just putting that in your coffee.
Sounds really good. So thinking back over your journey, has there been a time where you thought about giving up?
I'll be honest, if that would have been the case, I probably wouldn't be here today. I remember thinking at one point, I was like, I'm going to keep doing this. And I'm either going to die trying or I'm going to be successful. Like those were the only options. There was no, I wasn't ever going to quit.
No.
Like it was never an option for me.
What was the motivation then not to quit?
I think I just knew I didn't want to be an employee. Right. And I didn't want my children to grow up thinking that they had to be an employee because that's what their dad did. So that must be what the world is. And I just knew there had to be a better way to live my life. And so that was, I guess that was my motivation.
Okay. So yeah. How big of a team do you have now then?
I guess we got like around 20 people.
All right. Okay.
That work in our company, maybe a little more.
So that's grown quite quickly then, really, hasn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I used to do everything myself. Like when I first started, I was doing everything. Like I didn't outsource anything in the beginning. And then I had to outsource, right? Because I couldn't, like, one of the first things I realized I had to outsource was customer service. Like, as soon as it's like, it's fun to make money and you get excited about your funnel. But then I think a few months had gone by. I was selling all this stuff. I was happy. And I went to check this email address that I had set up for customer service. And I had thousands of emails in there. People pissed because I hadn't replied in months. And like, I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I guess I need to like look at these. And I started going through them. And I was like, I can't handle this. Like, as I go through them, more are coming in. So I can't even get to the bottom of it. And I was like, that's when I had to go on Upwork and start figuring out. That was the first thing. I didn't want anything to do with customer service. That's a nightmare. Like, you want to get depressed? Read some of the things people have to say about you. It's like they're calling you everything under the sun. Like, I would like your day would just go to the shitter quick if you read any of that stuff. So I was like, I don't want to read that. Like, someone else needs to read that and be nice and reply.
What did you get a VA to do that for you?
Yeah. It started out. Now we got like a team of like 10 people right now that handle just our customer service stuff.
10 people just on customer service. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's a lot. So what's your focus now then for the next 12 months?
12 months. I want to my goal is to get the 10CCX award. All
right. Okay.
We're almost to 10 million.
Are you?
So I want to get there. If I can do it in 12 months, that's the goal. I think I can get there with the coffee, and that'll be launching in November, December, probably the beginning of December. And we're launching new products every day into our funnel. And so I think we can get there in 12 months. That's my goal.
Awesome. So we can check back in with you in next Funnel Hacking Live and see if you're on the stage.
That's the plan.
Okay, I got last question for you. If you're going to be an animal for 24 hours, what would you be and why?
An animal for 24 hours. That would have to be a bird. Yeah, because I'd want to fly.
Any particular bird?
An eagle.
An eagle.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Awesome. So I want to say thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your story. It's been awesome. If anybody wants to find out more about the happy mushrooms for sad people, where do they need to go?
They can go to our main website, curativemushrooms.com. I think this is backwards, but
No,
it's
it's not. It's all right.
Oh, it is? You can see it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So yeah, Curative Mushrooms. If they want to see our grow kit offer, they would just go to offer.curativemushrooms.com.
All right. Okay. Perfect. So, thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks so much for having me, Polly. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you for listening. I really hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, please take a moment to leave us a 5-star review and subscribe to the podcast on your podcast software. It really helps us rank the podcast and get more listeners. And if you're over on YouTube, please subscribe and hit the bell. Every Friday, 8 a.m. GMT, we release a brand new episode. And until then, have a good one.